Summary of Chapter 6 of *Sapiens*, A Brief History of Humankind. Building Pyramids. In Chapter 6, Yuval Noah Harari explains how large human societies developed after the agricultural revolution. As populations increased and settlements grew into cities and kingdoms, humans needed systems to organize millions of people. The chapter focuses on the rise of large societies, social hierarchies, inequality, imagined orders, discrimination, how humans justify unequal systems. Harari argues that every large society depends on imagined social structures that people collectively believe in. These systems create order, but they also create inequality and suffering. 1. From villages to kingdoms. After agriculture spread, human populations grew rapidly. Small villages eventually became cities, kingdoms, empires. Large societies required organization because thousands or millions of strangers could not cooperate naturally like small hunter-gatherer groups. To maintain order, societies developed laws, governments, religions, social classes. These systems allowed massive cooperation among strangers. 2. Imagined orders. One of the chapter's central ideas is the concept of an imagined order. An imagined order is a system of rules and beliefs that exists only because people collectively believe in it. Examples include laws, nations, money, social classes, human rights. These systems are not physical realities like mountains or rivers. They exist in shared human imagination. Yet they strongly influence human behavior. 3. Why large societies need imagined orders. Hunter-gatherers lived in small groups where people personally knew one another. But large civilizations involve strangers. How can millions cooperate peacefully? Because they share belief in legal systems, political authority, religious ideas, cultural values. Without these shared beliefs, large societies would collapse into chaos. 4. The example of Code of Hammurabi. Harari discusses the famous Babylonian legal system created around 1776 BCE. The Code of Hammurabi divided society into groups: superior people, commoners, slaves. Punishments differed depending on social status. For example, hurting a noble person received harsher punishment than hurting a slave. The system claimed inequality was natural and divinely ordered. Harari uses this example to show how societies justify hierarchy through shared beliefs. 5. Equality is also an imagined idea. Harari makes a controversial point. Modern ideas about equality are also imagined orders. For example, human rights, equality before law, democracy. These ideas are powerful because people collectively believe in them, not because they exist physically in nature. Nature itself is not equal. People differ physically and mentally. Animals constantly compete. Modern equality is therefore a moral and cultural belief created by humans. 6. Social hierarchies. Every known large society developed hierarchies. Examples include kings and peasants, nobles and slaves, rich and poor, men and women, different racial or ethnic groups. Hierarchies help organize societies efficiently, but they often create injustice. Harari argues that history repeatedly shows humans dividing themselves into superior and inferior groups. 7. The problem of inequality. Inequality often becomes self-perpetuating. For example, wealth creates education opportunities. Education creates power. Power creates more wealth. Over generations, inequality becomes deeply rooted. People born into privileged groups gain advantages automatically. 8. The role of myths in maintaining order. Society use myths and stories to justify hierarchies. Examples: kings rule by divine will. Certain races are superior. Men are naturally dominant. Some groups are chosen. These stories encourage people to accept unequal systems. Harari emphasizes that imagined orders only survive if many people believe in them. 9. The creation of social categories. Humans categorize each other constantly. Societies create divisions based on race, gender, religion, wealth, birth status. These categories shape opportunities, rights, treatment. Harari explains that many social divisions are historically constructed rather than biologically inevitable. 10. The caste system in India. Harari discusses the caste system as an example of long-lasting social hierarchy. The caste system divided society into hereditary groups with strict social roles. People were expected to marry within their caste, work within their caste, follow social restrictions. Religious beliefs helped maintain the system for centuries. Harari uses this example to show how imagined orders can become deeply embedded in society. 11. Race and discrimination. The chapter also examines racial systems, such as slavery in the Americas. Harari explains, Europeans created racial hierarchies to justify slavery. Africans were treated as inferior based on invented racial beliefs. Over time, these ideas became institutionalized through laws, education, religion, culture. Harari argues that many racial systems were economically and politically motivated rather than scientifically valid. 12. Gender hierarchies. One of the chapter's major topics is inequality between men and women. Throughout history, most societies placed men in dominant positions. Women often had fewer rights, less political power, limited education, restricted freedom. Harari asks, why did almost all societies become patriarchal? He says there is no simple answer. Possible explanations include physical strength differences, childbearing roles, historical traditions, but no theory fully explains universal patriarchy. 13. Biological versus cultural differences. Harari distinguishes between biological differences, cultural myths. For example, biology may influence some behaviors, but societies often exaggerate differences to justify unequal treatment. Cultural systems shape human behavior powerfully. 14. Imagined orders shape reality. Even though imagined orders are fictional, they produce real consequences. For example, money is imagined, but it buys food. Nationality is imagined, but people fight wars over it. Social class is imagined, but it affects education and opportunities. Shared beliefs create real social structures. 15. Why people obey social systems. Harari explains that people usually obey imagined orders because they are taught from childhood. Society rewards conformity. Challenging systems can be dangerous. Children grow up learning national identities, religious beliefs, gender roles, social expectations. Over time, these systems feel natural. 16. Culture is always changing. Although imagined orders feel permanent, cultures constantly change. Examples: slavery was once widely accepted. Monarchy dominated many societies. Women lacked voting rights. Over time, beliefs changed dramatically. Harari argues that human societies are flexible because they are based on imagination rather than fixed biological rules. 17. The power and danger of shared beliefs. Shared beliefs make civilization possible. Without common rules, cities could not function. Trade would collapse. Governments would fail. But shared beliefs can also justify oppression, violence, discrimination, exploitation. The same imagination that creates cooperation can create suffering. 18. Human cooperation at massive scale. Harari returns to one of the book's biggest themes. Humans dominate because they cooperate flexibly in large numbers. Millions of strangers can cooperate because they share laws, symbols, stories, institutions. No other species can organize at such scale. 19. The tension between order and freedom. Large societies need order, but order often limits individual freedom. For example, laws restrict behavior. Social expectations shape choices. Hierarchies determine opportunities. Civilization provides stability, but also creates control systems. 20. History is not always fair. Harari emphasizes that many social systems developed accidentally rather than morally. Just because a system exists for centuries does not mean it is natural, fair, good. History often reflects power struggles, economic interests, historical accidents. Main themes of Chapter 6. 1. Large societies depend on shared myths. Civilization functions because people believe in imagined orders. 2. Hierarchies exist in every civilization. Social inequality appears repeatedly throughout history. 3. Imagined orders feel natural. People are taught social systems from childhood. 4. Shared beliefs create both cooperation and oppression. The same systems that organize society can also justify injustice. 5. Human history is shaped more by culture than biology. Many social divisions are created by human imagination rather than nature. Important concepts explained simply. What is an imagined order? A system that exists because many people believe in it, such as laws, nations, or money. Why are imagined orders important? They allow millions of strangers to cooperate peacefully. Why do hierarchies develop? Large societies use hierarchies to organize labor, power, and resources. Are social systems natural? Many systems feel natural, but are actually historical and cultural creations. Lessons from the chapter. 1. Human societies are built on collective imagination. Shared beliefs hold civilizations together. 2. Inequality is deeply rooted in history. Many societies develop systems favoring certain groups. 3. Culture shapes reality. Ideas and stories strongly influence human behavior. 4. Social systems can change. Because societies are imagined, humans can also redesign them. Conclusion. Chapter 6 of *Sapiens*, A Brief History of Humankind, explores how civilization became possible through imagined social orders. Yuval Noah Harari explains that humans built large societies using shared beliefs in laws, hierarchies, religions, and cultural systems. The chapter reveals how social structures organize civilization, why inequality appears throughout history, how myths and beliefs shape human behavior, why cooperation among strangers is humanity's greatest strength. Most importantly, the chapter challenges readers to question the systems surrounding them. Many things people consider natural or permanent are actually imagined orders created by humans and therefore capable of changing.